Podcast. Coming at you, room C330. This is Noah. Sitting across from me using a shitty Dell computer is Josh.
My computer is indeed dumb and shitty.
Well, today we will be awkwardly talking in a room that is very echoey into a microphone that we assume will have people listening to it.
In a dorm that neither of us live in.
Yes. We finessed our way in. It was past midnight, and a very drunk girl let us in.
Hey, let's see what you got first.
You see what I got?
Yeah.
Okay, so a bunch of Olympic Games have been hosted. Modern times, what was it, like 1896? That's when they started.
Before that. Haven't they been going on for like centuries?
Back in Greece, they've been going
those
on
don't
for centuries.
count.
But like the modern Olympics started in the late 1800s, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do know
Get
what
it?
you're talking about.
Okay. So you gotta submit a bid to get into the Olympics, to the International Olympic Committee.
Of course.
You gotta do your planning, you gotta talk to people. These people give you estimates on planning, they'll talk about infrastructure, talk about roads, rail systems, how to build apartments, what things to tear down to make space for things. Those things cost you millions of dollars.
Billions?
Just the consulting fees alone. Gonna cost you billions of dollars. Millions of dollars, not billions. Bees, don't want the bees.
Alright, back to the Olympics. The International Olympic Committee is the group that oversees the Olympics. I'm sure you've heard about them. Maybe.
Well, obviously, we both did the research for this episode.
Right,
Josh.
but like they're pretty commonly known. They're like a non-profit organization. They're not very helpful when it comes to the Olympics. They just kind of like oversee the money, and they don't really help with anything besides just kind of convincing countries that they should host the Olympics. They contribute like 5% of the Olympics like building costs to the cities, and like what help is that to cities?
Where does the rest of the money come from, Josh? Taxpayers? Are they getting fucked? Are they getting raped in the ass?
Any runoff to the budgets? The budgets are usually set by the cities that host them, and
I sure hope so.
the only time that the city actually hasn't gone over budget was the LA Games. I think that was in like...
Well, like the LA Games are kind of a special occasion because they already had the infrastructure. They had like the railways,
Right.
the roads, everything was working.
They were
had
set.
They had stadiums, everything was fine.
Mhm.
And they just had to make very minor adjustments to everything else that they were doing.
And they made a profit on it. They're the only city to ever make a profit off the Olympics.
They were the only summer
The only summer games.
since the 30s. They were the only summer games to make a profit.
Yes. What winter games?
Winter games? I didn't have it specifically listed, but there was one that profited like the 2 years before or 4 years before the LA Games actually happened and made their profit. Don't know what city it was. Should have done better research, but I didn't.
That's alright.
Because it's episode 1, Josh.
That's right.
It's episode 1.
It's episode 1. The LA Games are in 84, by the way.
I knew they were in 84. What did I say?
You didn't.
I didn't say anything.
No, I just was looking it up. There was like no bidders actually, like during the 84, like that time period for the Olympics. Like LA was literally like handed the Olympics.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, cool, we got all the stuff. And LA actually doing good with the Olympics made other countries and cities like, hey, if they can do good in the Olympics, we can do good in the Olympics. And it didn't start dying off, like this revival didn't start dying off until like now.
Well, I think the biggest loss in money, probably not factual, honestly, but 64 countries, including the United States, had boycotted the Moscow Olympics 4 years earlier, and I think they lost about $3 billion, which translated to about, significantly more because inflation.
Yeah.
So, like, Moscow got fucked.
Russia just never does good at the
Yes.
Olympics.
So, like, did a lot of math for the 25 Olympic Games I could find, like, the net
Numbers
gain
and
and
stuff,
net
yeah.
loss for. The average losses over the 25 that I could find was $1,223. $1,223,008,121.
I feel like all the outliers for that were in the last like 10 years.
Like the most losses came pretty early on, actually.
Really?
Recently, it's been more profitable than losses.
Do you know what
From
the least profitable Olympics were?
Don't
Don't know.
because I didn't mark that down. I just have a bunch of numbers
Okay.
written across the top, so I can add them up and do the averages.
I see.
We need to learn how to do better research,
Yeah, I don't really
or at least have better Like,
it's the
we
test
just know
episode.
things. It's episode 1, Josh.
It's episode one. It's
one.
the test episode. It's fine. Do you know what's going on with the future Olympics? Like the next 2 are at least set for the summer.
I sure don't.
Well, a bunch of cities were actually in the running for it. Like pretty much all over the world. Rome, I think, had a bid in. Boston had a bid in, and I think the Rio Games kind of set back anything with that. All the bidders withdrew. The only 2 people left were Paris and LA again. And
wouldn't LA get it, or did Paris get it?
Here's what happened. The IOC said, Paris, you got the first ones in I think 2024, and then they were like, LA, you got the second ones. And
so
they just gave it to them, defaulted it.
It's like, this belongs to you now. We don't know what we're doing because nobody wants this.
No, nobody wants this, and it's a shame because the Olympics are really fun to watch, and it gets people talking.
So for I assume when you were doing your research, you found some pictures of rundown,
it's gross.
old things.
It's really gross.
What was the most interesting thing you found that was happening at a rundown Olympic stadium?
Most interesting
thing?
In a test pool, like a practice pool at Rio, there's a office chair sitting in the middle of it in this yellow, stagnant, 4 inches of water. And I don't know, it was kind of a cool picture.
So, 2 things that I found. I think it was in Beijing.
Are you talking things being done with the place?
Either being done with it or in it. Either one.
It's like,
we found an office chair in a pool. In Beijing, it is overgrown. I believe it was the beach volleyball area. Overgrown enough that there's weeds growing through, soil is really well, there's trees growing. Farmers have taken to actually just planting things in there and growing things. It's more useful to use it as agriculture than it is to use it as a volleyball court.
Makes sense.
Alternatively,
they're growing rice in there.
Probably growing rice. Maybe it's illegal drugs.
What a place for it.
Who could say?
That's probably
that's the most expensive grow house.
That's such a good pitch as a drug dealer.
It's I grew
this in the Olympics.
This is gold. If you had a slogan, that's what it would be. Alternatively, I think it was one of the Winter Games. Literally at the bottom of the ski slope, there's a graveyard now.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Saw that one? I don't know if it was a Winter Game.
I think it was in Barcelona at the Summer
Barcelona?
Games. Yeah.
Whatever.
I might be wrong.
It was at one of the main stadium areas, and there's now a graveyard there, and it looks really sketchy.
It does. All the headstones are sideways.
Yeah, they're pieces of wood with white paint on them.
It's on a river too, isn't it?
I didn't see any river. It was on a hill, and in the background you can see either the old Olympic Village where everyone used to stay, or you saw apartment buildings or something. It looked like there's a Japanese haunted place. There's just a bunch of sticks and stuff.
Yeah.
It looked like that.
I see.
Might source the thing there, even though I'm definitely not going to because I don't know what I'm doing. It's episode 1.
At the Sarajevo Games, it was a Winter Olympics. I don't remember what year it was, but 6 months after their Olympics were over, the bobsled trenches were turned into war zone trenches. Soldiers would be in there.
Really? Because I know in one of the bobsled things I saw, it's just full of graffiti now, and people are
the same one.
Riding their bikes down.
Yeah.
It's much more dangerous than bobsledding, but it's probably so much more entertaining.
Yeah, the country had a civil war after the Olympics. Yeah, the Olympics really helped them, right?
Yeah.
And they used that as a trench.
Going into Olympics really helping people with the Civil War thing. So the Athens deficit was apparently their bailout crisis. Debt crisis was apparently started by the
Olympics.
Because they spent so much money on it, taxpayers got pissed, and their general idea of overspending, making things better, threw them into a hole, and they still haven't recovered.
They had to get bailed out by the EU.
Yeah, it was the 2004 games. 16 years later, they're still not really fully recovered.
No. Have you seen the Athens pictures? It looks like a desert now.
I haven't actually looked at the Athens pictures.
They actually still kind of keep up on it. They interviewed a worker or something.
Some areas are still maintained, but they're wasting millions of dollars to do it, and it's not financially viable.
Mm-hmm.
So, stadiums that have still succeeded and have gone on to work out, the Atlanta Braves.
Turner Field, yeah.
Turner Field.
They just closed that actually.
They didn't close the field. The Atlanta Braves have moved away, and it's now the Georgia State University football field. So like the old original stadium that was the larger one for the Olympic Games turned into Turner Field for the Atlanta Braves, and from there, when their lease ended, they moved it over to Georgia State.
Yep, and Atlanta's at SunTrust Park now. So, Barcelona is actually the only country not the only country, but in recent memory to like actually turn it okay. They didn't make a profit off it, but it boosted tourism by like billions of dollars every year. They actually hauled sand in from Egypt out to for their beaches to like make them nicer. I don't know how they did that.
That was far too expensive. Just get your fucking sand. Barcelona, isn't that on a fucking coast?
Yeah.
It's not a coast. Just ocean. Go to the ocean.
I don't know why they had to haul it in from Egypt, but they did. How do you think the best mode of transport is to haul that?
What,
I'm thinking
sand?
helicopter. Sand, yes.
There's no fucking way it's a helicopter. You gotta use a freighter.
A freighter would
Yeah,
be
use
a
a
lot
freighter.
more helpful. I'm thinking like
Like
2012 when they like have the animals by like the tarps. I don't know why that'd be efficient.
I don't think I watched 2012 close enough to know what the hell you're talking about.
That's alright. It's not a very
John
good movie.
Cusack, is that the guy?
Yeah.
John Cusack? Okay. That's not...
It's not a good
It's
movie.
not a good movie.
It's not great. It's entertaining. Anyway, it's off topic.
It builds off our insecurities of the world
Yeah.
ending.
Beijing's like main stadium that they use for like the Olympic ceremonies and all that. Don't they only use those stadiums for like that ceremony? They just need to put people in there and then they don't use it again.
Oh, like the opening ceremony where you just
Yeah.
see all the teams? Usually they'll have a track in there too.
Yeah. Oh, I think Beijing uses theirs for soccer too.
Yeah, they'll usually have it for something else. It's just a large stadium where they can fit the most people that would want to spectate that sport.
Yeah, it was like one of those architectural like I don't know, really impressive thing. That
Oh
they
yeah,
did.
like
it's the
it was,
bird's
like,
nest.
woven,
that's what it's
yeah.
called. Yeah. It cost them like a couple. I didn't look at the number. It's like 25 million a year.
25 million a year.
And they
Like-
don't host any regular events in there.
Something like that is still like a tourist attraction because it's like fancy. People look at it. It's like all
no
this-
one pays to look at
Yeah,
it.
they look at it. They're appreciated, but they pay to maintain it. And
For
but
that.
eventually, a private company usually buys it.
But so far in 12 years, no one's bought it, and they use it for like some concerts, I think, and like the soccer part of it's not used at all. The stadiums all over.
Yeah, like everything I read was just like, oh, you gotta turn it into a stadium. You gotta find a sports franchise to buy it. You gotta
Like-
find concert venues. You gotta find promoters. It's like
Most of these cities outside the U.S. don't have like big sporting leagues or events to like
No.
put in these things.
I found in Athens, like the pro soccer club fucking took it over. Then literally after like 2 or 3 years, they're like, we don't want this anymore.
This Olympic
We
stadium
don't need
trash.
this. We don't need this stadium. It doesn't work for us. Like going back to Beijing, did you see the pictures of the old mascots just sitting in the woods?
No, I didn't.
They're like
actually.
little anime things. They're supposed to represent each of the continents that were coming to the games. Antarctica's not.
No Antarctica.
There's
Yeah,
no
that's what I was
Antarctica.
asking.
Something else was missing. They only had 5 characters. I don't know what continent they were missing.
Do you think maybe Asia was taken out because they were in Asia?
No,
I feel like
I-
that'd be the important.
I know for sure they might have just combined the Americas.
Racist, but
I don't know if it was racist. Like, they might have just combined the Americas for some reason. Because they definitely had Europe and Africa and Oceania, which is Australia.
Yeah.
They definitely had Asia. I'm under the assumption they...
something's missing.
Anyway, so these mascots, they just like left them in the woods. They're like behind some mall that they never finished. Because
China's got all sorts of problems.
they just didn't have the money to upkeep the mall or build the mall generally in the first place. But
Probably
then-
the Olympics' fault.
yeah, they were gonna put the mascots out front, and they were the promoters. They were in like a bunch of commercials and stuff. The mascots that they have were given a 100 show animation project, and
100 show?
They had 100 episodes.
100 episodes.
Whatever. They had a show. They're called the Fuwa.
Fua?
Fuwa. They had, starting a whole year before the games were to start, had a 100-episode anime show of them building up to the Olympic Games.
Is it an anime show?
It was an anime show
How the-
in Japan. Maybe not Japan. It was definitely in China. Because
Somewhere
talking about
over there,
fucking
yeah.
China because it's Beijing. Anyway, 100 episodes for creatures that they just threw in the woods and didn't care about for the rest of the games.
Man, and their only purpose was to sit in front of the mall.
They're they were representative of the entire games, and like they were on a bunch of posters and stuff. But like the big, giant, 20-foot tall mascots were just left in the woods.
How sad, but not really, because I guess we never really got to see them.
And the names of the ones that in the picture that I saw were Nini and Ying Ying, which were representing Earth and Sky. Like
Okay.
they're representing the 5 elements that the old Confucius era Chinese
those?
people.
You were looking at?
Yes, that's
Those
exactly
ones?
what I'm talking about.
That's
And
a
we will have
shame.
had a picture, maybe if we can not get taken down for it on our podcast.
They're pretty good, pretty well designed, to be
Well,
honest.
Honestly, the mascots themselves did not look that good.
Like, I think if you're gonna, like, make a giant statue or something, these look pretty okay.
What do you look for the ones that are just like sitting in the woods, because they're just covered in sticks.
Oh, yeah, I see. That's not good. Man, it looks like they just threw them by, like, a swamp or something. They just look gross. There's a picture in Rio of the chairs from the main stadium that they did the opening ceremony in, and like a week after the games were over, they took all the chairs and put them in a cafeteria. So there's just stacks on stacks of chairs.
So they're not even like using them in the cafeteria.
No, they're
Like,
just
as
thrown in
seats,
a
they're
pile.
just- okay, so this is a storage room. It's no longer a cafeteria.
It was a cafeteria, or
At one
something
point,
like that.
it had a function as a cafeteria.
And they took all the chairs just like at random. They're not like all the chairs from the games. There's like just a section missing here and there.
Okay, so
Really weird.
row C, section B, seat
Gone.
13 is gone.
Gone.
But seat 14 is still there.
There was, yeah, it looked like that could be the
So do
case.
they only pay their maintenance guy or their demolition crew like $20? It's like, hey, go get me a fucking chair.
Must have been a work strike.
Yeah.
They ran out of money for that too. I think Rio did the worst in terms of upkeeping their stuff, because before the games they promised like these are going to be hotels and athletic stadiums and the community's going to get to use these, and there were apartments set aside as the
Yeah.
Olympic Village, and they didn't do a single one of those.
Well, Rio even like tore down old slum apartment buildings
To make
To
room
make-
for
to
this.
make the things.
So they made a bunch of homeless people promising they're going to live there.
Yeah,
And
and
then no one
then
did.
never actually built anything there at all. Like the pictures I saw, like from 2016 to 2018, Rio, like everything was just covered in like mold and black stuff, and
Yeah.
like rain had hit it, and everything was already eroding, and there's plants everywhere. And it's like no one was maintaining this place at all.
No, I read that the games, that some of the complexes, they were supposed to be like temporary structures, and they were like supposed to take them down after the games. They never took them down, so there's like practice pools and tennis courts just sitting there like falling apart. There's just tarps all over the place, and Rio's not a good place to be for an Olympic Games.
So what's your personal contention of what should be done in the future Olympics? Like, should we keep using ones that we've already built? Should we build more? Should we just use things that exist?
I had a little bit of a plan working in place. It would need more numbers and stuff laid out, because I don't really know how the IOC wants to
Fuck
like,
the numbers.
Fuck the numbers.
We don't know anything about math.
Okay, or whatever the IOC's rules are. But I think countries that bid to host an Olympic Games should host like the next ones, so they get like 2 in a row, depending on like
Well,
how
if you
well
get-
they built the stadiums.
If you get 2 in a row, why don't you keep hosting them over?
That's what I'm
and
saying.
over
Like they should
again?
get them until they either no longer feel like keeping it up, they've made their money, or they just don't want to anymore.
I mean, that could become unfair to anyone else who has the stuff and is going to make money off of it, like Los Angeles did. They already had everything.
Well, a lot of these bids take like they'll get like a decade to prepare. I mentioned earlier that the LA gets like 8 years or something, more than that, and they already have the stuff anyway.
Well, yeah, they give you like 10 years notice that you've won and you get to build your stadium.
Yeah, but I think if cities could just like keep the games in their city for like 2 or 3 Olympics or even more than that, I think that'd be really cost efficient for the cities. And I mean, do Olympic cities really look all that different when we do Olympic year to Olympic year? They try to push the culture, but I mean, like, does it really matter if we're
Well-
saving that much money?
Most of the Olympic idea was to bring all the nations together before all the world wars, you know?
It's not about the city.
Late 1800s, it was just like, hey, everyone should come together. And then like 20 years later, we were killing each other in trenches.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Did they cancel those games?
What, the World War games?
World War One games. I know the World War II ones were...
Those were definitely canceled.
Those were in Berlin.
36 was the last... That was in Berlin, 36.
36 was in Berlin.
Was the last one. Because Hitler's there and Jesse Owens made him look like an idiot.
Yeah.
America. But, I think it was 48 was the next games after that.
Okay, so they did take a couple years.
Yeah, it was like...
2 Olympics.
Yes.
Did they cancel the winter ones for that too?
I can only assume. Because, like, Winter Olympics until recently were the same year as the Summer Olympics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they just recently started offsetting them by 2.
That makes sense, though.
Profit.
Yeah.
Probably should just use cities that already have, like, big sports stadiums already. Because, like...
America.
America would benefit the most, but any European country, any Asian country with, like, a soccer field...
Which a lot of them do.
Should build it in the same city, because, like, London, I don't think got hit too hard in its...
They didn't have it too bad. Out of recent
They
ones,
definitely
they were the
lost
best
money,
ones, yeah.
but, like, they had enough infrastructure and everything already in place to host the games and not lose a shit ton of money.
Theirs also didn't cost that much to begin with. Like, a lot of these countries will set their budgets at like $3 billion, but it hasn't been that cheap since like the 80s.
They'll just keep borrowing money and see what happens.
I think it was Montreal. It was one of the Winter Olympic Games, but they ended up spending a lot of money on it, and the taxpayers like just paid off the debt from that Olympic Games.
It takes them like 20 years.
This one took 30 years.
I think some city was like having to pay back its taxpayers like $56,000 a year to reimburse them for how much they had paid for their Olympics. And just why are we wasting all this money paying these people back? They shouldn't have paid to begin with, but still.
Right. Man, do you think there needs to be like a restructuring done of how the Olympics work? Because it just kind of seems like, yeah, you're forced to throw a shit ton of money into this thing that takes 2 weeks, and then you're screwed for however long.
I think the bid system is like the best we can do right now. Because
Yeah.
you're choosing to host the games, you should know the history. You can think you can do it better, and maybe you can, but you probably can't, as history shows.
Better mayors.
Yeah. Honestly, let's just build it on Hawaii. It's tropical,
Leave it there.
same temperature all the time, and after like a few 100,000 years, it'll just fall into the ocean.
No more Olympics.
No more stadium. You build it on the next island, or the most recent island, as it is building itself up out of the ocean.
Yeah, there'll be a new Hawaii someday.
Well, there's
Like a new
it's
set of land.
What is it? Honolulu is the biggest island.
That's the city.
One,
Oahu.
Oahu is the biggest island. Maui. Maui's the little one.
Maui's not in Florida, right?
Maui.
No, Maui is
We're not
not.
talking about Florida. Anyway, the biggest one, you build it there first, because that is the most recent that has been built from the hot spot that is in the ocean. Geography lesson.
Yeah.
Geology lesson, not geography lesson, because we don't even know where Hawaii is, because we think it's Florida. Anyway, you build it on the biggest island, and then a million years from now, when that island's gone, you build it on the next biggest island, because those islands are just going to keep being built into a chain until we have the next supercontinent, and that just doesn't matter.
Shouldn't be long now.
Yeah, a few million years, the Olympics will still be a thing, right?
Doubtful. Humanity's gone in like
Every 4 years. What Olympics are we on? Like 30?
I think it's more than that. No, that's about right.
Look it up.
All right.
We got time.
Yeah. There have been 28 Summer Olympics and 22 Winter.
All right. So what? 4 billion years from now, when the sun explodes, the sun's not going to explode. It becomes a white dwarf.
That's right.
When the sun
A gamma ray.
when the sun engulfs us in a few billion years, because it's gonna be a red giant first. When it engulfs us, we'll be on what? Olympics number 1 billion, right?
That sounds the math.
1
sir.
1 billion and 28, 1 billion 24. I don't know what number you just said.
28 and 22.
All right, so 1 billion 28. Olympics 1 billion 28. There will have been a bunch of stadiums on Hawaii. And I feel like it's rather central because it's in the middle of the Pacific fucking
They
ocean.
just keep building them next to each other.
One island after the other.
Think about Hawaii. It looks like there's a lot of tropical places in the world.
It's tropical.
We got culture there.
There's culture there because we took it. The
Yes.
Banana Republic.
The Banana Republic. Whatever queen that lost the island. Or
I don't know what her name was, but I know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do. Hawaii it is.
Hawaii it is. Or like the Philippines or something. Something in the Pacific.
Point of this is countries should host games back to back, and we
Or-
should just have a central Olympic place.
One place. Let's have it in Antarctica. Nobody owns Antarctica.
The Winter Games could be held there.
Sure, that's actually really cold and awful for those people.
They wear warm.
But if we
stuff.
could ever find a way to colonize it, or something,
We could put a dome there.
just a big dome.
Sandy's dome just blown up.
Yes.
Retreat them.
Because that's where else is neutral territory. No one wants to go to Greenland.
I mean,
Do they have a government in Greenland? Who owns Greenland?
there is a government there. It's actually kind of big in tourism, I think.
Iceland's more.
Iceland's
tourism.
bigger in tourism, but Greenland, they do have a central government and things.
There's like 50,000 people in Greenland.
But no one's mad at Greenland.
There are more people on my campus than there are in Greenland. We should get a neutral area that everyone can chip in.
Scandinavia.
Scandinavia?
Like,
Yeah.
we got Netherlands, we got like Sweden and
I think it's
Finland.
got to be Antarctica or a giant platform in the ocean.
that'd be interesting. Kind of be hard to get tourists out there though, and that's where all the money comes from.
It's impractical,
Impractical.
but it's possible.
Hey man, the Green New Deal calls for a railroad
Yes, it
across
does.
the ocean. So
And how interesting would that be?
man, they could like link together. AOC should
Yeah,
like
it
work with
works.
the IOC.
Yes.
It works.
It's perfect.
The acronym's there.
Committee. It's the only thing they have in common.
Yup. I don't like this.
What don't you like?
Platform on the ocean.
It makes more sense than wasting billions of dollars.
Well, maybe if we had like countries that could agree to like each other, that.
Well, I think if we all just chip in a little bit,
yeah,
every country donates $50 million.
you can't participate unless you donate.
Yeah, unless you do. There's a benchmark.
In countries that try to get in, they have to pay. They pay into the system.
Yeah, they pay it. Everyone bids.
Yeah.
Everyone pays. Everyone supports the Olympics because they all want to go.
And if they just pay enough to like maintain it, then like, who's really losing out here?
You know, if they don't pay a little bit to build it, then there's the host country doesn't pay anything to build it, but they just have to pay to maintain it. If they want to use it again.
Or the money that countries do to buy into the Olympics goes to the maintenance.
You don't really buy into the IOC.
I'm saying if we installed a buy-in to where countries had to pay every year to get into the Olympics, like a small fee.
All right, I think we're on to something.
I think we are.
I think we need to call somebody.
Who you want to call?
IOC. They probably got like a hotline.
Let's see.
I doubt they have a hotline. They think they work 24/7.
They're non-profits, so probably
Are
not.
they like the suicide hotline? They're non-profit.
Do you think they have like a?
How interesting would a profitable suicide hotline be? $2 an hour.
I think the government would have to get involved. Like they'd have to pay them for like the amount of people they like talk out of suicide.
No, it's not a federal thing. It's not a taxable thing. If you want to not die, $2 an hour.
What if our phone number, like on phone calls, like, oh, never mind, that's already a thing. That's Apple Pay. I just thought of
Yeah,
Apple Pay.
yeah.
There is a telephone number.
My God, I just thought of Apple Pay.
It's in Switzerland,
Switzerland. IOC's in Switzerland.
apparently.
What's
It's
the
where
phone
they're based.
number? And like, what is it? Hang on. Generally, what is the phone number for?
This is
Is
just
it
the
a-
IOC headquarters in
Oh.
Switzerland. It's 4121-621-6111. A lot of ones.
101s. So like, who's gonna pick up the phone? Who's calling the International Olympic Committee? Who needs that number?
Only ambassadors or
Only
something.
whoever's in charge of doing the bids.
Maybe like they can do returns
So-
for like Olympic apparel there.
Excuse me, I didn't want this.
Oh man, they're open 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
Well, what time is it in Switzerland right now? Because it's 1:30 here.
It's probably almost 9.
Probably almost 9.
I think they're 5 hours ahead of us, 6 hours. That puts them at 7:30.
It's been
We
7:30.
gotta wait an hour and a half.
Well, how far ahead of us are they? Look at the thing. You got computer.
All right.
We have internet.
I was reading about their site, man.
Oh, you can do that too.
It's currently 7:30. So there's 6 hours.
6 hours ahead.
We have to wait another hour.
So in an hour and a half, we're going to call the International Olympic Committee when it is 3 a.m. here, and we're going to ask them exactly what they can do for us.
Probably not a lot. This kind of looks like almost a museum type thing. The Olympic Studies Center is what we'd be calling. Which is
what do they study there?
The Olympics, man. I feel like they run out of stuff to do.
Is that like an economics study, or
it's a major?
What do you have to major in to go into Olympics?
A world source of reference for Olympic knowledge. Our mission is to share this knowledge and with professional Olympic. So it's like they got memorabilia there and they got like books. It looks actually pretty low class. It's kind of like
That looks like a library.
It looks like
like a really poorly funded public library.
It's a Michigan library.
Well, I think we've expended what we had to talk about. The last 10 minutes was quite the tangent.
I think we got the solution. We got to that too quick.
You know, next time we're gonna have a better lineup. We're gonna have a list
of what we need to.
We're gonna tape it on the wall. We're gonna dedicate some time to it. If we take a tangent, we're gonna throw a pencil at the thing, and we're gonna be like, "Hey, look at that."
The mic won't pick that up.
Definitely not. We're leaving this in. This is part of the first podcast.
Oh yeah, we can't edit any of this.
No. There's gonna be quite a bit that I edit out of this.
Did you have anything stupid, or you said you were working on something stupid?
No, the fuwa thing was the stupid thing that I was talking about. Because like, they spent money on the animation. I couldn't find a figure on how much that cost them, but it was stupid.
They went to the length of like creating a show.
A whole year before the game started, they went to the length of creating a show. I don't know how long the runtime was.
So yeah, was like the anime about the characters? It wasn't about like the making?
It was the characters, they did things, and I believe the last episode was called Welcome to Beijing.
Were they like stepping into the bird's nest or something?
Like, it's literally what I would assume that they were doing.
I think we can find that on YouTube.
What, the fuwa?
Fuwa, how do you spell that?
Fuwa, but there's like an accent above one of the letters because it's in Chinese.
Fuwa Time? Was that the name of the show?
Sure.
This looks like a normal anime. I don't like this.
You've just found Japanese porn, haven't you?
Nah, man, YouTube's not that kind of site. That's RedTube. Ah, there it is. 10 years ago it was posted.
That sounds about right.
Let's just see what this is about here. We're gonna turn that down. Oh man. I like this animation style, actually.
What is it, like 2D?
It's like better than Pokemon, if that helps you.
Oh.
Like new Pokemon.
I know what you're talking about.
I don't know what's happening in this episode. It looks like they're just like on their own storylines and they're just kind of doing nothing.
Oh, so are they just not together right now?
Oh, they're together now.
Oh, they're together now? Because like what I was thinking when you said that they weren't together is like, oh, they're all on their own separate continents that they're supposed to be representing, and then they meet up in the last episode.
I cut to the Asian one. It's like a panda, and he was just like in a bamboo forest with like leaves on his face.
Oh, so he's chewing on some bamboo.
Yeah, now they're all soaring over the sky for some reason.
Goddamn panda doesn't want to save his own race, save his own species because he's not having sex in the zoo.
What's wrong with that guy?
Pandas are on their way out. They're just throwing pussy at you and you don't want it.
They're lazy, man. They're too lazy for that.
It's like, I can't even save my own species. I don't want to deal with this. Let it end.
Polar bears are over here trying their hardest.
Breeding with grizzly bears, and you don't even want to do it with yourself.
How does that turn out for him?
What, the grizzly bear?
The grizzly bear, like whatever cub comes from that.
It's usually sterile, so it can't reproduce.
So it's useless.
It's like a mule. It's useless, but the polar bears are trying everything they can.
I understand.
However, the grizzly bear is close enough for it to breed and develop offspring, and if their offspring were ever to be able to produce more offspring, then maybe we have something.
We'll have half of a polar bear species.
We'll have half of a polar bear species, but like you can breed it so it's always white, like selective breeding.
Yeah, we'll make polar bears
Yeah.
like dog breeds.
Yes.
Everyone will get one.
Everyone's gonna get a polar bear. They're probably gonna be way too aggressive, but that's fine.
You know, that domestication kind of like brings in the a calm gene, I guess. I don't know. Dogs were not always like friendly.
Well, of course not.
Yeah.
We breeded them from wolves that were eating our scraps while we moved around.
You know, it's all the same.
Yeah, sure. Alright. This is a tangent that's actually got off from the Olympics.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't even know
the
how
papers there. Were
Yeah, I don't even know
thrown
how
out.
we got to this one. I'm sure I'll
The
listen.
Fuyas.
I'm definitely going to listen to it again because you're right. The pandas weren't having sex. That's how we got here.
You threw that part in, man. I'm talking about Fuya.
Have you not heard that? The pandas won't even have sex to reproduce.
I have heard that.
They don't want to save their own species. Whatever.
Not even interested.
You're not in? Oh, they're not interested.
They're not even
Okay.
interested.
Right, you're not interested. I'm gonna keep fucking talking about this then.
I think every picture I've ever seen of a panda is them like sitting on their ass eating bamboo.
It's all they ever want to do.
Can't say I've ever seen pandas like doing it, but
Do you want to?
no, there is a website or porn for everything, but I think I'm gonna pass on that.
Yeah, I'm sure anybody, the three people that are gonna listen to this one, will be like, I'm gonna go look up panda porn.
I'm a C.
I gotta go find that shit.
I think there's a website that
Just for animals.
you can you can search because I think it's a rule in the Urban Dictionary. It's like rule blah blah blah. There's porn for everything, and then there's a website that helps you find that. I don't know what it's called, and I don't really know.
I don't know if I want to find
I'm not
out.
gonna visit this site.
If anybody wants to do the research on that, good for them.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
It's not for me.
not for me. RipDropYourGloves.com.
Yeah, goodbye. John Boyce, very sad.
Yeah. During the production of this, the porn site was shut down.
You're gonna find that in the comments in a few years.
Where do you want to go from here about the Olympic Games that we've gone off course?
Oh,
about?
I think I've expended all of the knowledge I have for
Think
that.
you've gone on everything?
I've been trying to wrap it up for like 20 minutes at this point.
Trying to see if I have anything else. Not really. I mean, the pictures themselves are really telling about whatever's going on, which is a whole lot of nothing. But
Yeah.
I mean, people can do that on their own. They can.
We'll throw up a few of them. They can search for the rest.
There's top tens up. Did you see the pictures of the Berlin pool from '36? It looks like, so you know our middle school pool?
Yeah.
How, like, small it is?
Yeah.
Take that, but like put it in half. So a tiny.
I know exactly what you're talking
There was
about.
like no seating. It was just like a place for the official, and then there was like 4 lanes in it. It was really sad.
Well, that was swimming in the Olympics for you. It was all about track and field back then.
Ah, the 1904 Olympic Marathon.
Yes. Where was that?
St. Louis.
St. Louis? Rat Poison and Brandy. John Boyce. Look it up.
Yeah, we don't need to go into that video. We'll do it more justice than we could.
we can't. Can't.
No one even went to that game.
No. People were showing up with their no shoes.
Mailmen from Cuba.
Yeah. French men who lost all of their money. Anyway, off topic.
Just a tad.
We can't do it justice.
No. John Boyce, 1904 Olympics Marathon. Rat poisoning.
How do I wrap this up? What does one say at the end of a podcast?
Outro music.
And
you don't have.
outro music.
Outro music.
What kind of outro music?
Oh, I was just saying it more. So.
Oh, you're just gonna say it?
We are the outro music.
We are the outro music?
Saying outro
Do we need to make
music.
a jingle? Because I'm not going to.
No, we don't.
Oh, I don't have the musical talent for that.
Nah, one day. How's that guitar learning going?
It's a ukulele, but it's not going.
Did you try the piano? Do you know how to read music now? No.
I started to learn how to read music.
started.
I gave up.
I didn't try. I'm waiting for my piano chord to come in.
You know,
I have a keyboard.
I think I'm gonna invest in Skillshare.
It's probably
just so I can.
you can knock out how to do this and that.
Yeah,
One
literally
step.
$10 subscription.
Is it a monthly or just all time?
You can get the first 3 months for free, and then $10 a month after that.
It's not bad.
Or is it $10 for 2 weeks or something? Anyway.
Shout out Skillshare.
Shout out Skillshare. If we ever need
unpaid ad, just saying. Hope this comes up in some algorithm on the internet.
Got it.
We picked up the word Skillshare. I think they're trying to talk to us.
What other ones? 3D printing? That's a good keyword to throw in here. That's on some algorithm.
2020 presidential election. That's gonna be big here.
Yeah. Well, like I think we already covered it with saying Olympics a million times.
Yeah, that one's set. I mean,
Where are the next Olympics? Tokyo?
they are in Tokyo.
Tokyo, Japan.
I don't know what the next winter ones are. Who cares about?
Who cares about the Winter
I
Olympics?
don't care about the winter.
I think I was watching the Junior Olympics at work the other day.
That gets more views sometimes. Than
Yeah,
the normal
like it was the
ones.
Junior Winter Olympics. I'm like, why do I care?
What like 9-year-old is into like bobsledding? Like me and the boys about to go bobsledding. People who live in Canada.
And
Outro
outro music.
music.